Hey guys, what is up? It is Nocturnal Gaming here, and today I have an interesting subject that I wanted to bring up in light of recent events that have happened in the MW tour scene. Title of the video is called Spirit of the Agreement, and what that refers to, it's a legal framework. It's you have when an agreement's made or a contract's made or rules are made, there's an intent behind those rules. There's they have made considerations. They want obviously they want all parties to operate in good faith, and the rules are designed to facilitate a specific method and outcome. Like they want things to be fair. They they have a goal in mind, and so how this is relevant to tournaments. Recently, there was a video posted, and this is something that I have personally encountered as a judge, a recorder, and as a player. There was a video put out recently, and someone was describing how to be intentionally difficult to schedule matches with when you're trying to plan a tournament match. And basically the video is highlighting basically a shortcoming in the rules where you could use this loophole to be as difficult as possible, and then generally the rules would state that if you can't agree on a time, then a default time would be made, and then that's likely to interfere with the time available for the opposing team, and you would get a default win because they couldn't show up because they had another tour, they had to work, etc. I think it's kind of, unsportsmanlike to do that, particularly with the tours. And this is where I kind of got, involved with this. We would have matches scheduled. So you have one party in the teams that's not replying to the ticket at all, or if they are, they're just being non-committal, not giving times. And so you can't agree on a time over the period of days, and then a default time gets generated from the Discord match. And this generally has punished the team that's trying to make an effort to create a time to play, and the other team gets a default win because they just managed to show up when their opponents couldn't. And this is rude in a lot of ways. The judges and the recorders, because some servers require both, to be there for a match. And so you generate this random time. The team that wasn't working with the other team to get a time schedule shows up. The one team, that was trying to create a schedule couldn't make it. The judge shows up, and sometimes it's a judge and a recorder depending on the server. So you have the staffing resources tied up for a default win, and they don't get paid for this. Like if the one team doesn't show up and the match doesn't happen, then they don't get paid for it. And the judges are required to be at the match 10 minutes ahead of time. So the tours go in half-hour blocks, generally speaking. So they can't do the previous half-hour block because they have to show up 10 minutes early for this match, and then they can't do them during this half-hour block when this match is supposed to be starting, because they're in a match. So they've wasted an hour of their time and they didn't get paid for it. So I think it's a really underhanded tactic. It goes against the spirit of the rules when they specified the rules that both teams need to agree. Try to work out a time, and if they can't agree, they'll generate a random time. It goes way against the spirit of that rule. And the comment was made that the loophole should have been closed, and I agree, absolutely agree that the loophole should have been closed. But that doesn't excuse the behavior, in my opinion. Just because they, didn't close a loophole, if the loophole's there, it doesn't mean you should take advantage of it in the spirit of competition, particularly tournaments. Like tournaments are supposed to be about who the better players are, not who can use tricks and tactics to get a default win. So I was really bothered that this is, because I've seen it happening. I've encountered it. And then to see someone posting basically a tutorial on how to do it really grind my gears. Like I was not happy about that. So, so shout out to all those that, don't play these type of games. They don't use these tactics when they are scheduling their matches, and there are a bunch of them that do. Like, so shout out to those guys that want to play fair, want an equal playing field, want to win because they're the better players. If you're doing tournaments and you are using these tactics, I'd encourage you to not do that. It's against the spirit of the agreement. So that's all I got to say about that. Just consider that, when you're using these tactics, it's kind of a reflection on yourself. Like, I wouldn't feel good personally knowing I won a tournament because I used tactics to get a default win and I didn't get to play. I wouldn't be proud of that tournament, default win because I didn't win it. I basically stole it or used underhanded methods to get it. So don't do that. It's also inconsiderate to the staff, the other team that do show up, that are trying to, put their effort in to, make the matches fair, and don't waste the guy's time. Like, if you've played tournaments for any amount of time, invariably you've run into staffing shortages where there's just not enough staff to cover all the matches all the time. And, this happens because multiple matches are happening at the same time, and so you might have 3 or 4 matches at the same time. Sometimes, like, we're on servers where they have, the judge and separate recorder rule, they'll bypass the rule because they're, understaffed. So, you're exacerbating that problem if you use tactics like this, because you're taking, a judge or a recorder or both out of matches for an hour block because of these things. So don't do that. And there's other tactics that were mentioned as well. Don't use those either. Like, go into this, being a good sportsman, and don't resort to tactics to help improve your, to give yourself an advantage in these competitions. Also, if you're interested in tournaments, the servers are short. So if you know the equipment, and know the game very well, volunteer to record, volunteer to judge. You'll learn a lot out of it. It's a good experience. I've really enjoyed it. It's been good overall, minus some of these frustrations. And so part of the reason I got involved in tournaments is because I was experiencing issues that I personally saw as a competitor, and I decided I would be part of the solution rather than complaining about the problem all the time. So here I am. Encourage you guys to do that as well. And that's it. That's all I got. Just play fair. Win because you're a better player, not because you're better at being difficult, scheduling a match and whatnot. So cheers, you guys. Just wanted to kind of get that off my chest. I had some strong opinions about it. So I appreciate it as always. Thank you for watching.